Isabel, owner at Bouger Boutique as well as CarinaBell.com, and I'm working on the block, the basic skirt block, the back part of it. In my last tutorial, we worked on the front part of the basic skirt, and now I'm going to work on the back part of the basic skirt. Now, if you look at my tutorial, you'll see the measurements that I stated that you need to have, and just to go over them ever so quickly, you'll need the waist, which is the smallest part of your waistline. You'll need the hip measurement, which is actually the widest part across your derriere. You will need that measurement from your waist. Let me just show you. So you will need this area here where my band is. That's where your waistline is naturally. And if you tie a string there and you just like let that string settle, it will settle into the smallest part of your waist, and that's where you'd measure across the widest part here, your hip. This distance from your waist to where your hip, that widest part is, that distance down, and then your full length wherever you want your skirt to stop. And that's basically what you need, those 4 measurements. And what I've also done, because sometimes you may have a little bit of a tummy, you may need your skirt measurement, waist, and your back and front may not be identical. If you have a flat stomach, you can divide that measurement equally into half. But if, like most of us, we have a little rise in the stomach, so we would do that accordingly. So you put the front waist a little bit bigger than the back, and you do the same for the hip. If you have a little bit of a bum, you put the back hip measurement bigger than the front when you divide it up. So if you notice here, I have front and I have back. So I've divided my waist. See, it's not an even number. This is 15 and a half at the front to accommodate for my stomach, and 14 and a half at the back. The hip, however, is reversed, where we have the front across there is 21 and the back at 23. So let's see what we need to do. So I pull this up. What I will do, you'll need your square, a hip curve, if you can see that type, or even this type can work as well. All right, so your square, you'll need your square to straighten your edges. Let's pull this down a little bit, a tad. I'm trying to get the best angle so you can see what I'm doing. I have these weights here on my paper because this paper is very heavy, and it was on a roll, so it's not staying. So now you have your straight edge. If you see where my ruler is, it's off of the edge. We don't want it like that. We want to place it directly on the edge, as straight as you possibly can get it. Alright, lining up perfectly with the straight edge of the paper. So I'm going to square the top off, because when I cut the paper, it's all jagged and crooked. So I need a straight line as a guide. So this top line is going to be my waist. Now I'm also going to go down to measure that distance from my waist to my hip. In my case, it's 8 inches. So I'm going to measure, I'm going to go off to the side a little bit and put a dot. That's 8 inches down. And then my skirt length, which is 25, I'm going to go down to 25 inches and put a dot. And I'm putting dots because those lines are not necessarily where my skirt lines, actual lines, are going to hit. But you're going to see why I did that in a little bit. So now, just not to get confused with the little specks on the paper. So now I'm going to find the distance across the back of my waist. Now this here, this line here, this is your center back. CV for short, center back. This, you're going to have a seam of the back in most instances and add a zipper. If you're going to put a zipper on the side seam, this will be placed on the fold, pretty much like the front, like I mentioned in my other video. So we're going to find this distance. Now going back to my reference card, the back, my waist, and the back of my waist is 14 and a half. So now seeing that this is quarter, or actually half of my back, half of 14 and a half would now be 7 and a quarter. So I have 7 and a quarter. I put a dot because I'm not done with that measurement, because I now have to add a dart or 2. In my instance, I add 2 darts, 2, because my waist is much smaller than my hip measurement, and I need to accommodate my back area without having my waist in the back of my skirt gaping. So I actually put 2 darts. So each dart is going to measure 1 inch. So I need a total of 2 inches, okay, for my darts. So now I have a complete measurement of 9 1/4 inches all the way across. Then I have for here, I need at the hip 23 inches. So half of that will be 11 and a half. Right there. So you put the dot earlier, so now I'm putting an X, or you can draw a circle with a dot in the middle, just so you don't get confused as to which line you're connecting. What I also want to do for your sake is square across where the hip meets at 8 inches. 8 inches down from the waist. I'm going to draw a straight line across. So make sure you square it off. Use the straight line as a guide at the center back. You extend the line beyond the hip measurement. So this is actually, this line is your hip line. So you have the distance across here at the hip. That distance I said was 11 and a half. Now at the hem, you're going to find, at the hem, you're going to measure the same distance across as you did for the hip at 11 and a half inches. 11 and a half inches, right at where that 25 meets. Alright, so you have also at the center back, down from the waist, go all the way down to 25 inches. So now you're going to connect your lines. Using your hip curve, you're going to connect from the waist, where you have included the 2 darts, the extra 2 inches. So you're going to connect it to the hip. And then you're going to use your straight ruler or your square and connect from the hip to the hemline all the way down. Now, in some cases you may see a bit of a point there, depending on how wide your hip is. All you have to do is now, like, free-handedly just go in and smooth that curve out, and you're good. Alright? You smooth that curve out. So now we're going to true the pattern up by, that is T-R-U-E, true it up by measuring the line, because now this straight up and down will give you 25 to there. But if you follow the curved line, which is your body line on the pattern, you follow the curved line all the way until you get to the length you desire, which is at 25. And I'm going to mark using the orange marker just so that you can see. So that's where your new connected line will be. This is where 25 straight up and down is. And it makes a huge difference, because if you did just connect that line, the lower line, your skirt would hang on the sides, and you don't want your skirt hanging on the sides. So what you do, this new line, the orange line I just marked, connect it now to the center back with the ruler on the slight curved area of the ruler. Not at the top where it's curved, the deeper curve for the hip, but the less curved part, okay? And you connect that. So that's your hemline. Right there, you have your hip line. If you measure along here as well, of course, this line, this straight line, like I said, we're three-dimensional, we're curved, our lines will be curved. So the 8 actually comes up a tad bit higher. I'm just showing you this just so you know, but it does not really affect when you do the straight skirt, but it will be important for doing yokes and stuff like that. So we have created a new line. I'm sorry. You see the new line here in the orange, but bring it back off to nothing to connect to this line. Alright? So that's going to be a curved line. You also have to curve up at the waist. If I bring this down a little bit, maybe it'll be better to see. Alright? So you're now going to curve. Let me stabilize my paper again. You're going to curve this area here like we did for the front waist. So you're going to drop at the back. You're going to go down 3/8 of an inch again. From the original straight line, you go down 3/8 of an inch. And now again, you're using this like you used for the hem, the less curved part of the ruler. You're going to connect from there off to nothing at the top of the waist. Just going to get back to the original line on the side. And that's where you have your basic block. Now we have to put in the darts. Remember we measured it earlier. So now my distance here is 9 1/4. And I made an allowance for 2 darts. So I want to sort of put it midway. Alright, in the back of my skirt. So I'm allowing 2 inches for the middle back of my skirt. So I'm going to start at 3.5 like I did for the front, and I go over 1, and then I'm going to leave a space. My dart, I want that space 1 inch apart, so I go 1 inch over, and then I make another 1 inch spacing. I'll show it to you when I hold it up. And my dart, again, I want this 4.5 inches long. So I put a dot and find the middle of each dart. In this case, the first one would measure at 4 inches across and 4.5 inches down. The second one, the middle of that dart from the center front to there is 6 inches over. So there, and then 4.5 inches down, right there. Then I connect, using a ruler, I connect my dart. Back and front. Right? And there are the darts in there. One other thing though, before we get done, you cut around your points in here, and you can place this on your fabric, on a muslin, to test out the pattern to make sure your measurements are off and to see where you need adjustments. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Stay tuned next time for when I show you how to use your basic block to derive a pencil skirt, A-line skirt, flared skirt, etc. Alright, thanks for viewing.